All right, cross-examine.
So, Mr. Grosskreutz, on the morning of the 26th of August, do you remember telling the officer who interviewed you, sometime during the incident, my Gen 4 Glock 27 that has a belt clip attached fell off my waist? Remember that?
I don't recall saying that, no.
Show me a statement. Mr. Grosskreutz, I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibit number 69 for identification. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
Okay. And that's, if I could be fair, I'm not going to stand by you the whole time, so I'm sorry, but is that your signature?
That is.
Okay. And it appears that that is, it says on 8/25/20 at 11:30 p.m. at 6300 Sheridan Road, and then it goes on a narrative version of your statement. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And if I could, toward the end of that large paragraph, you'd agree it says, sometime during the incident, my Gen 4 Glock 27 that had a belt clip attached fell off my waist, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's a lie, right?
I wouldn't say that's a lie, no.
You didn't take the Glock out of your back here and run with it?
I did.
So it didn't fall off your waist. It was in your hand.
That's correct.
So you would say that's not a lie?
No, I would say it isn't.
Okay, and you told that to multiple officers. Isn't that true?
I don't know.
Same exhibit, sir. The next sentence. I told multiple officers that I dropped my firearm, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you didn't drop your firearm. You were chasing Mr. Rittenhouse with your gun, right? Yes? You were chasing him with your gun? Yes?
No.
You didn't chase him down Sheridan Road, pulling your gun, chasing after him. That's a lie. You're saying that didn't happen?
I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but I wasn't chasing the defendant.
You were running after him?
No.
No. Okay. Did you ever get charged for not telling the truth to the police about dropping your gun?
No.
Did you ever tell the police in here on this statement that you actually had a firearm in your hand and pointed it at the defendant?
No, I did not.
You never told them you had a gun at all in terms of as you had an interaction with Mr. Rittenhouse. True?
That is correct.
And I know you said you don't know, but Jason Lakowski testified that he picked up that firearm that he believes belonged to you, and there was one in the chamber. Do you dispute that that could be true?
No, I do not.
Now, you had talked about your purpose of being there that evening. You're a member of our Wisconsin Revolution, are you not?
No, I'm not.
You're a member of the People's Revolution?
No, I'm not.
Have you spoken at their rallies?
I haven't won.
And during that rally, have you made statements such as, long live the revolution?
I have.
And you have no affiliation with them, though?
Affiliation, yes.
Okay, there's some of those people in the crowd today, aren't there?
Yes.
Now, your first statement to Officer, I think it's Birch, on the morning of the 26th, when he's asking you about what happened, if I have this right, you don't explain at all to him as to how you approached Mr. Rittenhouse with your gun, correct?
Am I able to? I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't remember specifically on that document.
Okay.
No.
In fact, 6 hours after you had been shot, you had a lawyer, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you wanted to stop the interview with the police because you had a lawyer, right?
That is correct.
And this is a civil lawyer, right?
That is one thing that she represents, yes.
Okay. And she's in court today, right?
Yes, she is.
Okay. And I know this wasn't addressed, but you have I'm going to show you Exhibit 62. So I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit number 62. This is a notice of claim. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Filed on your behalf by your lawyer, right?
That is correct, yes.
Making a notice or telling, among others, the city and county of Kenosha that you would like $10 million. True?
That is correct.
Did you read this?
I did.
So are you aware in this document, you never mentioned that you actually possessed a firearm? You know that?
That is correct.
You left that part out, right?
That is correct.
Judge, I would move 62.
Is there objection?
No.
Received.
You then had, shortly thereafter, I want to say in October, I'm going to show you what is Exhibit 63. You have now filed a lawsuit in federal court. Is that right?
That is correct.
Did you read that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. In that document, you again failed to mention that you possessed a firearm. Is that right?
That is correct.
So you, in these documents that you are filing with courts, you are leaving out the fact that you had possessed a firearm when you were shot, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And this is, so to be fair, this is your testimony today, and how this case turns out has an impact on your ability to try to collect your $10 million, right?
That is correct.
So if he's convicted, if Mr. Rittenhouse is convicted, your chance of getting $10 million is better, right?
I'm not entirely sure how that plays out.
Haven't had any conversations with your lawyer about
Well,
that?
you're not going to ask about conversations with this lawyer.
Okay, fair enough. You're aware that if Mr. Rittenhouse is convicted, your chances of getting the $10 million are better?
I'm not object, Your Honor. This has been asked and answered, and I don't think he's got a basis to answer that.
Judge,
Well, I sustained on the first ground.
I would move 63.
Objection?
No.
Received.
So you were asked by Attorney Binger about a live stream that you had been running that evening, right?
That is correct.
All right. And there are, as far as I can tell, 3 instances in which you see, at least on that live stream, you see Mr. Rittenhouse. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Do you have them? And during that first contact, which we'll see, you're filming, you had talked a little bit about this. You were filming him. 2345. That's fine. Just wait. You gotta put them all on.
I don't think you understand what defund means. We're not asking for abolition yet. We're asking for social programs to be funded, so we don't end up with more redneck asses like you.
Yeah, when I see on the street, I'm gonna put these hands on that bitch.
This is my fifth time tonight.
I don't like being tear gas. Nobody likes being tear gas.
I understand why you guys are out here, though. There's a lot of fucking people from out of town last night. I'm not seeing as many people from out of town here tonight. I don't think it's been crazy.
No,
and our whole Nashville cops are straight up with us, right? They were gonna push y'all to us, have y'all get pissed off at us, and then wrap you guys the fuck up.
Right.
So that's.
Is that the time that you saw him have contact with people who were carrying the woman, you had said?
Yes.
Okay. And now, to be fair, you didn't think he was doing work as an EMT properly, right?
In that instance?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say that you thought he was doing it? How did you think he was doing it?
I hadn't even observed the defendant administer anything, so at that point,
You didn't see him threaten anybody, right?
no, I did not.
You didn't see him point his gun at anyone?
No, I did not.
Didn't see him raising his voice in an agitated manner or anything like that?
No, I did not.
Okay. And I know you said that you heard people say something along the lines of don't go to them. Do you help her out?
No, I do not.
Okay. Now, later on, 31 minutes. 31:00. Later on, you see him walking. Would that be fair? Right? You can play it from right there.
Looks like the Boogaloo boys, the good old boys rolling up. Two right there.
Keep going.
Two right there.
You fucking laughing? Fuck you!
Yep.
So you hear him say, anybody need a medic, right?
Correct.
Okay. Natalie, go ahead.
Got our own medics. You're good. You can go home. Fucking stupid.
And that's you, right?
Speaking?
Yeah.
That is correct.
So you say you can go home, you fucking stooge. Right?
Correct.
Okay. He didn't do anything to you, did he?
No.
You didn't see him threaten anyone, did you?
No, I did not.
You didn't see him act aggressive toward anyone, did you?
No, I did not.
In fact, again, whether you agree that he's a medic or not, he's asking people if they need help. Agreed?
That is correct.
Okay. Then 57:28. Mr. Binger had asked you about this one, and this is the time that Mr. Rittenhouse you videotaped him. That's fine right there. Go ahead.
I understand. Hey, your job isn't to be in the streets. You gotta stay on your property. That's why you got problems already with people.
Correct.
And you'd agree on normal situation, a dumpster's not supposed to be in the road?
In normal situations, yes.
And you hear somebody telling him, hey, that's not your job. You're not to do that, right?
That is correct.
He doesn't react to that person at all, does he?
No, he does not.
He doesn't threaten that person in any way?
No, he does not.
He doesn't point his firearm at that person?
No, he does not.
To be fair, he ignores that person, doesn't he?
I think that's a fair way of putting it.
Okay. And in terms of the next time you really see him is your contact with him on Sheridan Road after the shooting of Joseph Rosenbaum, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, you were asked, were you armed with a firearm? And you said that you were, right? Mr. Binger said, what do you bring? And you said, keys, wallet, whatever else, and a gun, right?
I did say that, yeah.
Kind of standard operating procedure for you out in the summer of 2020?
Not just the summer of 2020.
Oh, so you had carried your firearm at times previous to that?
That's correct.
And you're doing that for personal protection, correct?
Correct.
And you're carrying it concealed, are you not?
That is correct.
It's unlawful for you to carry it concealed. Is that not true?
Unlawful?
Yeah, you can't carry a concealed weapon without a CCW permit, right?
That is correct, yes.
You have to open carry. You have to have, been talking about people with their guns out. You have to carry it with it out if you don't have a CCW permit, right?
That is correct.
And you didn't have a CCW permit, did you?
I did have a CCW permit.
It wasn't valid, correct?
After the fact, yes, I found out that it was not valid.
So have you been charged for unlawfully carrying a firearm?
No, I have not.
So you're carrying a gun for protection in your, if I have it right, back here, right?
That is correct.
And I'm motioning into my, kind of my belt area.
Correct.
Okay. Now, your first contact with Mr. Rittenhouse, I think you had testified that you believed that he said to you that he was going to the police, or that he was working with the police, right?
That is correct.
Well, on your statement on the 26th, which is the first statement you gave to law enforcement, right?
Correct.
You told law enforcement, I heard the guy say, quote, that he pulled the gun on me first, unquote, right?
That is correct.
So you never say to the police during your interview, he told me he was working with you guys. You never tell them that, do you?
That is correct.
So when you make contact with Mr. Rittenhouse, tell me if this is fair. And I'm not, Mr. Binger's asked witnesses to do this, so I'm going to ask you to do the same. You've probably watched videos, you've probably seen all this. I'm asking you to put yourself back there at that time, okay? You know shots are fired, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the only information that you have is Mr. Rittenhouse saying, according to you, he pulled the gun on me first, right?
Correct.
And based on that, you believe there's an active shooter.
Not solely on that, but yes.
You don't have any information, correct?
I had minimal information.
And in fact, what he says to you was, I'm going to the police, correct?
That is correct.
And he's running toward the police, isn't he?
That is correct.
Okay. So what you, and tell me if this is right, you have no idea what happened with Mr. Rosenbaum, do you?
Apart from, no. No.
On that day?
Correct.
Okay. And he tells you, he's running, and he tells you, whatever he tells you, I'm going to the police, or what you think is, he pulled the gun first, and he's running away from you, right? He's running north on Sheridan Road. Yes?
Correct.
And he's running away from where you're standing. True?
Correct.
You at that point pull a firearm out from your belt and begin to chase him. True?
That is not true.
I want the picture. I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 35. You take a peek at that for a second. That's a picture of you, is that right?
On the right-hand side with the blue cap and... Yeah.
You can look there where
Yeah.
this is you, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you're digging into your waistband in the back, are you not?
Yes,
That's where your gun is located, is it not?
that is correct.
Okay. Do you see Kyle Rittenhouse in this picture?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So, if we can be fair here, this isn't him, right?
No, it is not.
And you don't believe that's him?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. And you'd agree none of these other people are him either?
I think that's a fair thing to say, yes.
Okay. What do you think, to the best of your ability, how far that guy's ahead of you?
It'd be hard to tell, but based on what I can see here, maybe 30 feet?
Okay. So you believe, based on this, Mr. Rittenhouse is more than 30 feet ahead of you because he's not behind that guy, right?
Yes.
So he's 30 feet, at least 30 feet ahead of you. You look like at that point you're moving. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So with him 30 feet ahead of you, running away from you, at that point you pull your firearm and begin to chase him, correct?
No.
You don't begin to chase him?
Nope. No, I do not.
You head in the direction that he's running. Yes?
Correct.
But you just happen to be running in that direction? It has nothing to do with Kyle Rittenhouse running in that direction?
No, it does have to do with the defendant running in that direction, yes.
Okay. So you are trying to chase him down?
No.
You can hear people yelling at that point, get him, get his ass, things like that, right?
That is correct, yes.
Did you hear, there's one that I've heard on this, and I don't know if you've heard it. Cranium that boy. Did you hear that?
I've heard it after the fact. In that moment, I do not recall hearing that, no.
Okay. But you acknowledge you hear get him and get his ass.
Correct, I do.
Okay. So, fair at that point, you believe those people are chasing him down.
Yes, I do.
And I'm going to use the word mob, you use whatever word you want. It's getting bigger as they're running, isn't it? More people are joining this.
I think that's a fair thing to say.
And you believe, well, tell me if this is true. You were concerned for Kyle Rittenhouse's safety.
Yes, I was.
You were concerned because you saw, and I'm going to refer to him as the only way we refer to him, jump kick man. So you see this guy kick him in the face. True?
I do not see Jump Kick Man kick him in the face.
You see him attempt to kick him in the face?
From my perspective, I didn't see any specific motion regarding kicking. But it is fair to say that I did observe Jump Kick Man going over the defendant.
Okay. And he's going, if you remember, he's going over the defendant with his foot in the air, correct?
I don't recall that.
You have a picture of And before I bring it up, to be fair, you're making up ground on Mr. Rittenhouse, correct? As you're running in his direction.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, you eventually catch him.
Correct.
Or come up to him, right?
Correct.
Okay. or whichever you want to look. You see that going on, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if we're being honest with one another, he appears to be trying to kick him in the face, right?
In this photograph, yes.
Okay. How far away from this when it's going on are you?
I don't recall how far away I was exactly when this action occurred.
You're a matter of feet, right?
I think that's a fair thing to say.
Okay.
Close.
All right, and you're seeing this, so you are having some concern, maybe as a medic or while you're training, that Kyle Rittenhouse is in physical danger. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So, and you believe he's in physical danger because he's being attacked, right? That's fair.
It's a fair thing to say, yes.
Okay. So you see this, then you see, can you bring up the Huber picture, please? Then you see Mr. Then you know that's, you didn't know it then, but you know now that's Anthony Huber, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you saw this happening, right?
Correct.
And it was no more from me to you away probably at that point, true?
I don't recall, but that's probably
Right,
fair.
ballpark?
Yes.
And in fact, you had mentioned to the officers that you even recalled Mr. Huber holding onto the trucks of that skateboard when he was striking you, right?
Correct.
And that, to be fair, as a medic, that concerned you, did it not?
I think anytime that there's a risk of head trauma, it's a risk.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So, you believe in this picture, one of the reasons you wanted to intervene was you believed that Mr. Rittenhouse was in danger of being seriously hurt, right?
In part, yes.
And you had mentioned to the police that evening that you tried telling Mr. Huber, you just said the guy, but you tried telling the guy to stop hitting him with the skateboard. Is that right?
That is what I put in my statement, yes.
Is that true?
With the benefit of hindsight, I don't believe that to be true, no.
Okay, so when you told that to the police that you told the guy with the skateboard to stop hitting him, that's not correct, that's not true.
That is correct.
Now, your original statement then to the police was, I tried telling the guy to stop hitting him with the skateboard. The guy on the ground then turned over, racked the weapon, and pointed his gun at me and shot me, right?
That is correct, yes.
You omitted the fact that you ran up on him and had a Glock pistol in your hand, right? You left that out.
Correct.
Would you think in a case where you are shot that providing the police information that you were actually possessing a firearm at the time would be relevant?
I think that's fair, yes.
Okay. But you didn't think it was relevant to tell him that day, correct?
It's not that I didn't think it wasn't relevant. After the defendant had shot me, I had just gotten out of surgery when the Kenosha police officers had arrived and just gone through one of the most traumatic experiences in my life, both emotionally and physically. I'd just gotten out of surgery. Had just been sedated. I was on pain meds. So,
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
sorry. It wouldn't have been a purposeful omission.
You were asked at that same statement what you did for work and you refused to answer that, right?
That is correct.
So you made a conscious decision to not answer that.
That is correct.
You weren't so drugged that you couldn't answer that question, right?
I refused because I was worried for my safety.
My point is that you had a thoughtful process not to answer that. True?
That is correct.
You told this officer specifically what Mr. Rittenhouse was wearing. correct?
That is correct.
You had a thoughtful process. Even though you just got out of surgery and were drugged and whatever else was going on, which I understand, you were still able to answer all those questions to the best of your ability, and they were accurate, right?
To the best of my ability, yes.
Okay. So the fact that you failed to mention that you possessed a firearm when you were shot and that you dropped it, were those things that you forgot because of your medication?
I would say not only the medication, but also the traumatic experience that I had just gone through.
And you understand it's the only information that you appeared to have forgotten that puts you with a gun directly in front of him, right?
That is correct.
Now, you are also then interviewed again by law enforcement in September. Is that right?
That is correct.
You bring your lawyer.
Correct.
Mr. Binger's there?
Not in person.
Okay, but he's present in the...
He is attending the meeting, yes.
Okay. And there were three...
Sorry, he was present via Zoom.
Okay, and there were a total, if you remember, 3 prosecutors present, right?
The only 2 people who I were aware were their official capacity was the lead detective, Ben Antaramian, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, and then Mr. Binger.
Okay.
But as for the other people, I'm sure they mentioned their names, but those are the 2 people that stuck out, I guess I should say.
So the people that you recall, Detective Antaramian, Mr. Binger, your lawyer, and you.
Correct.
And you were asked on that day, which would be, now that would be your second statement, you were asked about what had happened, right?
Correct.
And had you viewed some of the video between the shooting and the interview that you gave on, I think it was the 24th of September?
I can't say for sure, but I would say it's a very fair guess that I had at least seen something at that point, or by that point.
And in that interview, you don't answer any questions about the shooting, do you?
No, I do not.
This lead detective on a homicide case, where you are also shot, is trying to gather information to figure out exactly what went on, and you refuse to answer questions about that, right?
Specifically about the shooting?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Was that your decision or your lawyer's decision?
That was the advice that my counsel gave me.
So your counsel wouldn't let you answer questions about your involvement. True?
I wouldn't say that she wouldn't let me, but she advised against it.
So your statements about what actually happened, first time that we're getting an insight as to what actually happened is today, right?
I don't think that's accurate.
Well, on the 24th, you refused to answer questions, right?
The 24th of...
September.
Correct.
And the day after the incident, you acknowledge you left out the fact that you even had a gun, right?
That is correct.
You were asked, Mr. Binger asked you about this, you were asked for permission to look through your phone, right?
I do recall that, yes.
You never actually gave your phone to Detective Antaramian to look through, did you?
My phone was picked up off the street the night of the 25th. So, no, I didn't give my phone to anybody. Somebody, and I'm assuming a police officer had picked it up.
My question to you, that wasn't my question to you. My question to you was, Detective Antaramian asked you for permission to look through your phone, and you never gave him your phone. True?
I never gave him permission to look through my phone, no.
Are you
That's-
aware that he had a search warrant for your phone?
No, I was not.
So, if I can, Mr. Grosskreutz, I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the video, okay? Are we good on time?
I haven't been notified that the lunch is here, but
I gotta pop up, it'll be in less than
you heard what?
15, 20 minutes, I sent you.
From now?
Yes, from noon.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Well, are you fine with time?
You had asked for 12 to 1.
Right.
You are in the middle of an examination, so I will, I'll hear from you guys as to what you want to do.
If it's not here, I'm fine. I'm ready to continue. I just didn't know if he had a problem.
I just was hoping for an hour, whenever we
Okay.
break.
I'll give you an hour whenever we stop.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so just, I'm going to have you stop it a lot. Okay, go ahead. Now, you see that? This isn't you, but you see this gentleman right here? See that?
I do.
Okay.
Would you like Sister Marcian's pointer?
Oh, sure.
It's up to you. I don't, you're welcome to use your glasses if you want.
He's got it.
Oh, he's got it.
You see this gentleman right here, right?
I do.
Okay, now you agree he advanced on what ran after, came up to Mr. Rittenhouse, right?
Can you rewind just slightly?
Can you just go, if you know, go back 10, but. Yep. So, you agree that he runs up to Mr. Rittenhouse and then applies the brakes, right?
I do.
Okay, and you'd agree that he's feet, me to you away.
And that's a
Okay.
fair assessment, yes.
2-3 feet. He's advancing on Mr. Rittenhouse, and you'd agree he puts his hands up, and Mr. Rittenhouse never fires his gun. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, you're off screen here at this point, right? You haven't come into the frame yet?
No, I have not.
Okay. That is, for lack of a better term, this gentleman right here. This is Jump Kick Man, right?
I believe so, yes.
So, you can play it. So, you now see that Jump Kick Man kicked Mr. Rittenhouse in the face, and 2 shots are fired, correct?
With this video, yes.
Okay. You hear that, right?
In the moment, yes, I did hear it.
Okay. Now, if you can see, and we'll play it, I'm not trying to trick you. This is Mr. Huber, correct?
It is hard to see with whatever is blocking.
Okay. Play it for a second. Okay, that's Mr. Huber, right?
That is correct, yes.
Now, this person here that's just coming into the frame, that's you.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And you are running, correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Now, you had originally said that you wanted, you were going to tell Mr. Huber to stop beating him, but now you understand that you didn't say anything. You were just running, whatever word you want. You're moving towards Mr. Rittenhouse, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. We just heard a shot, yes?
Correct.
Okay. And to be fair, that you put on the brakes, right? You were running, you then almost stop in your tracks. Fair enough?
Correct.
Okay. And I don't know if your arms are up at that point, but it looks like you're kind of protecting your head at that point. Is that fair?
That is correct.
Okay. How far do you think you are away from him at that point, to the best of your ability?
I would say about there, between
Me and you?
you and I, correct.
So 3 feet?
3 to 5.
Okay. Now at that point, you have your hands up, right?
Yes, I do.
Now, you probably don't notice him at the time, but this guy's holding what looks like a wooden club of some type.
Some sort of wooden object, yes.
Okay. So your hands are up, and at that point, he has not fired at you, correct?
No, he is not.
Okay. It's going to be quick. You'd agree at this point, you are dropping your hands, you are loading your front foot, and you are moving toward Mr. Rittenhouse at that point, true?
Yes.
Okay. So, when you were shot, can you bring up the photo? You'd agree, and now wait, how close do you think you are to him at that point?
3 feet. If it was 5 feet before, it would. So
tell me if I've got the lay of the land. At this point, you're holding a loaded, chambered Glock 27 in your right hand. Yes?
that is correct. Yes.
You are advancing on Mr. Rittenhouse, who is seated on his butt, right?
That is correct.
You're moving forward, and your right hand drops down with your gun. Your hands are no longer up, and now the gun is pointed in the direction of Mr. Rittenhouse. Agree? I'll give you a picture. Maybe that'll help. What? What's the next one?
These been marked as exhibits.
These have been, that's why I was.
So, Mr. Grosskreutz, I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 67. That's a photo of you, yes?
Yes.
Okay. That's Mr. Rittenhouse?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you'd agree your firearm is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And once your firearm is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, that's when he fires his gun. Yes?
No.
Sir, look, I don't want to... Does this look like right now your arm is being shot?
That looks like my bicep being vaporized, yes.
Okay. And it's being vaporized as you're pointing your gun directly at him. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so when you were standing 3 to 5 feet from him with your arms up in the air, he never fired, right?
Correct.
It wasn't until you pointed your gun at him, advanced on him, with your gun, now your hands down, pointed at him, that he fired, right?
Correct.
You had mentioned that you believe that he was re-racking. I don't know much about guns, but you had mentioned that you believed he was re-racking his gun or something, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Now, this is your, tell me if this is right. This is your tweet from November 5th. So, during this trial, you're tweeting out, yes?
Yes.
And you tweet out to whoever these people are, make sure you look and listen for the defendant's firearm malfunction, and then you have a winky emoji face. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So this is, the 5th was yesterday?
That would have been Friday.
Time's flying, Judge. So Friday at 7:45, And what's the winky emoji face
I believe that was in response to whoever the original poster is on there. I don't know what the original post was, but it was more than likely in response to this person's opinion that they had posted.
Now, you had said that you were looking for a non-lethal way to end this interaction.
That is correct, yes.
Yet you pulled your gun out and began, I'm going to use the word chase. You began chasing or running after a man who was running away from you, correct?
That is correct.
Now, you had said, and you were asked about the do no harm and the tattoo on your arm and things like that, right? You have some regrets from that evening, don't you?
No.
Well, Jacob Marshall's your roommate, isn't he?
No, he's not.
He was your roommate, correct?
He was, yes.
Okay. And Jacob Marshall came to visit you in the hospital. Is that right?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And I know he's taken it down, but not before we saw it. He posted something on either Twitter or Facebook with you, right?
Correct.
Do you remember that?
Remember what?
The picture that you guys took in the hospital together?
Yes, I do.
We haven't gotten to it yet, Your Honor, but I'm going to be objecting on hearsay grounds, yeah.
Tate.
Mr. Grosskreutz, I'm going to approach you for a second if I can. And I'm showing you what has been previously marked as Exhibit 69. You'd agree that's the statement that I had previously showed you that you had given the police on the 26th. Is that right?
Yes. So on this document, it's marked 2520. I don't know if that's reference to the time of the incident, but
Right.
this statement was given. It looks like 900. I'm sorry, 9:46 a.m. of
Okay.
the following day.
So just so we're clear, it says on 8/25/20 at 11:30 p.m. this happened, right?
Correct.
Okay. So the only thing I want to make sure that you're comfortable saying is there's markings at various points on this paper. Is that right?
Yes, there is.
Okay. And the statement is 2 pages. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would.
Okay. And can you tell me what those marks are on the left-hand side of that document?
What is being referred to? There are circles. It looks like 2 on the first page, 2 on the second page. And these are on the left-hand indent, and in those circles are my initials.
Okay. So you had at various points during that statement put your initials on it?
Correct. I wasn't able to, I'm right-hand dominant, so I wasn't able to write. So the officer that, I'm not sure which officer that was, but the officer was taking my verbal statement, transcribing it, and then throughout, I would initial either, so you can see here, there's the word approximately was crossed off. I signed that there's a correction there made.
Okay, so can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Where it says, I told multiple officers that I had dropped my firearm, right next to that you put your initials, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And to be fair, on the bottom of each one of these pages, it says, I have made the above statement without any threats or promises. It is my desire to state the true facts as to this incident. I have read the above statement and find it true and correct. Is that what it says?
That is what it says, yes.
Okay, and you signed that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So my last, where we left off, I just have a couple questions for you. I had asked you if you had any regrets about that evening, and that you had said that you did not, correct?
Correct.
And I had asked you if you know a person, Jacob Marshall, correct?
Yes.
And Jacob Marshall may not be today, but he was your roommate.
Yes.
And you had said that he had visited you in the hospital.
Yes.
And I'm going to show you what is marked as Exhibit 70. I'm not interested in the stuff on the right now. I'm just interested in the photograph. Okay? Is that a photograph of you and Mr. Marshall?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Does that appear to be taken after you had suffered the injury to your arm?
Yes.
Okay. And that's at a hospital. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you had said you didn't have any regrets. Did you tell Mr. Marshall that your only regret was not killing the kid and hesitating to pull the gun before emptying the entire mag into him?
No, I never said that.
You didn't tell that to your roommate?
Objection, asked and answered.
Hold on.
You didn't tell that to Mr. Marshall?
No, I did not.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Judge, I would move 69 and 70.
Any objection?
You can do it after if you want. Your Honor, can we talk about those two exhibits afterwards? I do have objection to both of them.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Grosskreutz, I just have a few follow-up questions here. At one point in the video that was played for you by the defense, you referred to the defendant as a boogaloo boy. What did you mean by that?
I don't recall if I was referring specifically to the defendant. I think a more accurate statement would be the group of armed individuals, predominantly white males with AR-15s, in, generally speaking, some sort of, we'll say, paramilitary attire. And what I mean by that is camel clothes, body armor, chest rigs, helmets, things of that nature.
Is it fair to say, Mr. Grosskreutz, that no matter what you tell us or remember, everything you did that night's on video or photographed, correct?
That is true.
I want to play a little bit of Exhibit 57. Can we go to the 31-minute mark, please? 31 minute. This was a portion of the exhibit that was played for you on cross-examination, and I just want to go back to that for a moment. Can we play from there, please?
Looks like the boogaloo boys, the good old boys rolling up. Two right there. Two right there.
You fucking laughing? Fuck you!
Yo, we got our own medics. You're good. You can go home.
The voice that's heard there saying, "We got our own medics, you can go home." That's your voice, right?
Yes, it is.
Why did you say that?
It was my interpretation throughout the events of August 25th that these armed individuals, whether they were Boogaloo Boys, Proud Boys, etc., all had a, we'll say, a homogeneous appearance. Again, meaning the rifles, the body armor, and what I had inferred throughout the events of that night, that these groups of people weren't received very friendly towards other demonstrators. And in specifically to reference the defendant, it was also my interpretation that the defendant lacked the necessary experience, potentially the necessary knowledge to adequately fulfill his self-proclaimed role as a medic.
Can we now go to the 57-minute and 36-second mark in this video, please?
Stand your property. That's why you got problems already with people.
Here's the hothead here.
I know you are, but like, they got their own medics.
You were asked a question about the defendant's reaction at that very moment in time when he was told by someone, don't go out in the street, stay on your property. And you were asked if the defendant reacted in any certain way. Do you know if he came and spoke with anyone about that comment at that moment in time?
No, I do not.
Okay. Now can we go to the 1 hour, 17-minute, and 10-second mark in this exhibit, please?
That sounded like gunshots. It sounds like multiple gunshots. People are scattering. Now this is southbound on Sheridan. This is, I was just at 60th. Looks like they even set up a recliner. Oh, 110%, bro.
Yeah, dude.
100.
Do you hear what the crowd is saying at that point?
I do.
And what were they saying?
Sounds like they're yelling medic repeatedly.
Is that what caused you to start running?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead.
Shots.
Why you shoot him?
Hey, what are you doing? You shot somebody? Who shot? Who shot?
Go back 10 seconds and play that again, please.
Hey, what are you doing? You shot somebody? Who shot? Who shot?
Is it fair to say, Mr. Grosskreutz, that what was just played on the screen is the only words exchanged between you and the defendant after the defendant killed Joseph Rosenbaum?
Yes.
And you've already explained what you heard at that time. We've already heard the video. Was there ever a time in which the defendant said someone pulled a gun on him?
In hindsight, no.
In your statement the next morning, you told the police you'd heard the words, something to the effect of, he pulled a gun on me, from the defendant. Is that right?
Correct.
With the benefit of hindsight, we can see that never happened, correct?
Correct.
At the time you gave the statement to the police the following morning, how long had you been awake?
A couple hours, no more.
After surgery?
After surgery, yes.
And before surgery, you'd been awake all day Tuesday, right?
Yes.
And in the time period between you were shot by the defendant and the time you spoke to the police officers, did you even have possession of your phone?
No, I did not.
Had you watched this Facebook live stream?
No, I had not.
Can we continue that video now, please?
Stop him! Hey, stop him! Get his eyes!
Mr. Grosskreutz, we can still hear audio, but there's no video coming from your live stream. Do you know why that is at this particular moment in time?
I believe it's because I had dropped my phone after being shot by the defendant.
To the best of your knowledge, did the audio that we just capture, or watch rather, did that capture everything that you said when you are, after you talked to the defendant and had that little exchange until you got shot?
Yes.
At any point in there, did you say anything about you're going to kill the defendant, you're going to shoot the defendant, make any threats to the defendant of any kind?
No.
Can we please pull up exhibit number 5? While we're getting ready for Exhibit 5, let me just ask, may I approach Your Honor? Mr. Grosskreutz, the defense has shown you a photograph which has been marked as Exhibit number 65. I'm just going to hold that up for you. Does this show you with your hands raised before the defendant shoots you?
Yes.
Okay. And I think this has been on the TV screen, but I'll just show the jury. Are you pointing your gun at the defendant here?
No, I'm not.
Is this right before he does the re-racking of the gun?
Yes, it is.
And then exhibit number 66, this is the photograph that shows you moving towards the defendant after he re-wrecks the gun. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is.
Now, you were asked if you are pointing your gun at the defendant in this picture and also in exhibit number 67. Do you remember being asked those questions?
I do.
At any point during that encounter, did you intentionally point your firearm at the defendant?
No, I did not.
Can we play Exhibit 5, please? At this point in the video, there are people that are running in the same direction as the defendant. Are you even on screen yet?
I don't see myself on screen, no.
All right, let's keep going. The person that attempts to kick the defendant has flown over the defendant. Mr. Huber is approaching the defendant. Are you even on screen yet?
No, I'm not.
All right, let's continue. Now, at this moment in time, you are on the screen, and it appears that you're sort of crouching, you know, like crouching down as if what? What were you thinking at that moment? Why were you doing that?
First, yes, that is me on the screen crouching, and it was reactionary instinct, I guess is a good way to put it, and the best way that I could describe that is, one, the noise from the shot. I mean, it's a very large caliber firearm, and I think that in of itself probably startled me. But then my immediate next thought was I could be shot next.
If your intent was to shoot the defendant with your Glock pistol, would you have gotten that close to him?
If that was my intent, no.
If that was your intent, you wouldn't have done that.
Exactly. Right, correct.
Let's keep going for just a second, please. Would you mind, if you can, standing up and demonstrating to the jury how your body is positioned in this still?
So if
A microphone?
We get your microphone.
We'll give you the microphone, and if you could just step in front of the jury there, I'd like you to demonstrate this for us, if you could. All right. Might have to hold it really close.
So in this still, if the defendant is right here in front of me on the ground, this is my pistol that I had in my hand. This is my cell phone. My body is bladed towards the defendant. Remember, cell phone in my left hand, microphone or pistol in my right. My body is bladed with my left hand, left arm, towards the defendant's firearm, with then my pistol in a similar angle I'm about to show you.
When you were after all this was said and done, was there any impact or anything like that on your left arm from that gunshot?
Yes, there was.
What was that?
It was determined to be a muzzle burn.
From its proximity to the defendant's gun?
So a little more context on that. When a bullet is fired, there are gases that are
Judge,
extracted.
I'm going to object.
That's fine. We'll move on. You can go ahead and have a seat. Thank you for doing that. At that moment in time, right before you got shot by the defendant, did you feel there was an imminent danger that the defendant was going to kill you?
Yes, absolutely.
When you were just demonstrating to us the way your right hand was holding the gun, however it was angled, my question for you is that the way you hold and point a gun when you're going to shoot it?
No.
I have no further questions.
So, Mr. Grosskreutz, you watched the video that Mr. Binger played when Mr. Rittenhouse was walking past you, and you had said something along the lines of, "No medics are needed here. We don't need you," right?
Yes.
Okay. And you were saying that, "Oh, here come some boogaloo boys." You've never met Mr. Rittenhouse before, have you?
No, I have not.
You had no idea who he was, any affiliation with any group, nothing, right?
No.
You were just spouting off guessing. Yes?
I was making an inference. Yes.
With no information.
Yes.
And Mr. Binger asked you if you ever threatened verbally with words Mr. Rittenhouse. Do you remember him asking you that?
I do.
Okay. And your answer was he did not.
Yes.
You'd agree, people don't have to use words to threaten other people. They can do it by their actions, correct?
Yes.
Like running after them down the street with a loaded firearm, right?
Yes.
Like approaching them, loading their foot and moving their gun forward while the person's on their butt sitting there, right? Those are nonverbal things that can be used to show aggression, correct?
Yes.
Now, you had been asked by Mr. Binger, and you had shown a demonstration of this blading maneuver, as you call it, and I'll take your word on that. Can you bring up 67? So, now, you can talk about what your mental intention was. You'd agree what everybody's looking at is you pointing a gun at a person's head, right?
As well as the defendant pointing his firearm at me.
Absolutely. But you are, by your own admission, pointing a pistol from less than 3 feet away at his head. Agreed?
No, I don't agree with that.
You don't agree that that gun is pointed in the direction of Mr. Rittenhouse's head? You don't agree with that?
In the direction, yes, but directly, no.
You didn't tell him what you were doing, right?
I don't have time to.
Well, as you're running, you didn't say anything, right? You're just chasing him down. You never say anything.
It would have been hard to communicate that over gunfire.
My question to you is, you never said a word to him other than approach him with your gun out from 3 feet away, right?
Yes.
I have nothing else.
When you asked the defendant if he'd shot anyone, he lied to you, didn't he?
Yes, you did.
And even though you've been asked questions about what he said at various times or things like that, did he make threats to anything like that, to people, anything like that, you construed his actions as threatening, didn't you?
Based off of witnessing the first 2 shots with Jump Kick Man, the third shot that killed Anthony Huber, yes.
Thank you.
There's one question. He didn't lie to you, right? When you had contact with him, he didn't lie to you, did he?
Yes, he did.
How did he lie to you?
After having asked him who was shot, and then him saying, I'm going to the police, which we know after the fact, and then saying, I didn't do anything.
So it's your testimony today that you heard. Now, to be fair, your first interview that you signed, you said that he told you, I'm working with the police, right?
I'm going to object. This is beyond the scope of the direct.
Right?
That is what I thought I heard in the moment, yes.
Okay, so you weren't telling the correct statement, correct?
Can you...
Yeah, you said that Mr. Rittenhouse lied to you.
Yes.
Your initial statement to the police was, he told me I'm working with the police. You know that's not true.
After the fact, yes.
Okay, so what is on tape is he said, I'm going to the police, right?
Yes.
You're not saying that's not true.
No, I'm not.
Nothing else.